2018-2019 short course season. My name is Pete, in case you haven't met me yet. I would find that hard to believe. I'm the lead site coach, I guess would be my title here at Aqua Club. And I coach the Age Group 1 program, the Age Group 2 program, and I also coach our intro program. We have some new coaches this year, or a new coach this year. Shay is our Age Group 3 coach. I will let them say something about themselves at some point. She comes to us from coaching at the Dale Turner Y and coaching at the Yost Pool. And so, did you do some assistant with Nolan in high school also? No. Anyway, she came with a good resume, and so far I've heard great things, and she's been fantastic with the kids. So that's great. Mike is not here yet. He had to take care. Oh, we might be at a swim meet tonight. I think Blanchett might have a swim meet tonight, so he probably won't be here. He coaches our high school development group. Our high school development and Age Group 1 group. We get to share the children sometimes. Coach Monica is our dryland coach, and we're a little bit unique at Cascade because we're outdoors. We don't get to do dryland all year long on the deck like most of the pools do, and so last year I worked with the board and other coaches to put together a kind of a test program to do some dryland before or after workout with the kids, and it went very well. We had really good feedback, so we brought it back this year, and we've changed the schedule a little bit. Hopefully all of you have that. If you're an Age Group 1 or 2 or high school development somewhere, you come before your later practice and after your earlier practices. If you're Age Group 3 this year, rather than have Monica try and manage like 60 extra kids coming in and out up there at all while the other kids are there too, we moved that to Saturday so that she can have some time with just the littlest ones and teach them the movements that we do in dryland. Our dryland is for mainly for injury prevention, stretching, muscle elongation, and some strength stuff too, and a lot of fun stuff. She's a PE teacher at Madrona K8, and so she brings a lot of exciting stuff that the kids are having a fun time. That's all our coaches here. We'll have others stopping by every now and then. We have a new head coach this year, in case you haven't heard. His name's David Orr. He'll be stopping by on Friday to see how we're doing. So we'll be on our best behavior, and the kids need to be also. we like our jobs a lot. So some of the things I'm going to go over here, and hopefully I won't be too non sequitur because I'm not a great public speaker. I prefer to talk to people when their heads are about foot level for me. So I want to just talk about swimming in general. Swimming is a sport that if you've been in it for a while, you kind of maybe figured this out. Sometimes you haven't. If you're just here for the first time or you're early in your swimming career, it's different than most sports. We do stuff while we're holding our breath underwater. We train all year for one meet a lot of times, especially the older you get. And so the process of swimming is different than most sports. Most sports you have practices and then you show up on Saturday and play a game. And it's not like that here. It's a long season. We put in a lot of work throughout the season. We rest ourselves for 2 meets a year usually in the short course season. And that will be either the PNS meet and regional meet or divisional meets, depending on your level. There's lots of different levels of swimming that you can have a lot of success at. So as you move through those, we're going to talk about that later, how to move through those by setting some goals. Our philosophy with Cascade is we train the kids to do all 4 strokes well. We don't do a lot of specialization, although we'll have sets where you're doing your best stroke. We'll have sets where you're doing your worst stroke. But at an early age, it's hard to specialize the kids because you don't know whether they're going to be tall or short, or they're going to have longer arms or shorter arms. until they start being 14, 15, 16. In high school and college, you'll start seeing a lot of specialization training. Anyway, so that kind of takes us to, as far as philosophy goes, we train hard in swimming. The kids will come home and say, the coach was really mean today, he made me swim too hard and I'm really tired and my arms are sore and I don't like it. But they usually come back the next day, fortunately. Usually. Because when you're working hard, you actually release a lot of endorphins and you end up feeling like, this is pretty cool. I'm getting better at things, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting faster, I'm building more aerobic capacity. So we do a lot of hard work. We stress hard work certain days here. Some coaches alter that slightly. I'll alter it every now and then too. But for example, Monday is our distance day. And a lot of kids think they don't like distance day because there's a lot of swimming. But I've found that the kids really like distance day because I don't talk to them very much. So they just kind of go. There's days where we try and see how far we can go. Our age group 1 program has gone up to 6,000 or slightly over 6,000 yards in a practice. Our age group 2 kids have gone up to 4,000 in an hour and 15 minutes a lot of times. So we push it a little bit sometimes, but we try not to do it where we're causing overuse injuries because that doesn't help anybody. So we do that one day a week. Other days we focus on IMs, we focus on sprints, we focus on changing speeds, different things. I've outlined that on our sheets that talk about each group. There's a list of the days. That's not so that you can skip distance day every week. So try to be a well-rounded student.
Everybody looks at Liam.
One of the things I wanted to touch on is, let's go on to the meet schedule first. So the meet schedule, I put that out on the table there. I have it here somewhere too. So the first meet is coming up. The entry deadline is the 24th of September, I believe. I went with what they had on the website for the entry deadlines. Sometimes those change because of certain meets getting full quicker. We need to enter at certain times in order to get, because we're a large team, and we oftentimes need to be the first ones in or we don't get to go to the meet. So the first meet's the October Challenge. It's up at Kamiak High School this year, which is great. Last year it was up at Marysville. I don't think anyone likes going to that pool very much. You should try and get signed up for that. We want to try to go to a meet a month. Some of you at different levels will have some additional meets that I don't have listed on here, and those are usually kind of the coach's discretion. We have some distance meets where if you're more of a 500-mile swimmer, you would want to go do those events because you don't get an opportunity to do those at a lot of meets. So we have special meets in between these sometimes to get times in those longer events. The littlest ones don't need to worry about that yet, but soon. And there are some that actually beg us to let them swim the 500, and we're like, well, you haven't swum the 100 yet. We need to kind of progress in order. So the next meet's the fallback meet. That's probably our most popular meet. We had, I think we may have had over 100 registrants just from Aqua Club because it's a home meet at Madison and it's right around Halloween. The kids have a lot of fun at it, and it's a lot of people haven't registered or we're waiting for soccer to end so they don't get in that first meet. So that's a big one too. Then we have AGIs. When you see an AGI, that's a qualifier meet. There's usually some sort of time standard with that. It may be gold or silver times. They usually run prelims and finals. Prelims and finals at a swim meet means you get to swim in the morning, and if you do good enough and you get in the top 6 or top 12, you get, or whatever the meet is, whatever the pool is holding that day, you get to come back and swim again at night. And the kids think that's fun. The parents, not so much sometimes. But you're going to have to get used to being in a pool a lot if you're going to be a swim parent. One of the reasons I should tell, I never told you about myself. I swam for Cascade. My siblings swam for Cascade before I was born. My family was one of the original members of the club in 1959. And my brother and sister swam at a very high level. Some of you know they won Olympic medals. I did not. I didn't start swimming until after they were done with their career, and my parents weren't going to push me into it. I broke my elbow, and the doctor said I should probably start swimming, and I did really good, and so I stuck with it, and now I'm here. I ended up swimming at the University of Washington. I owe my college career to swimming because I wouldn't have been able to afford to go to school at that time without a scholarship, and I got that by swimming. Scholarships are hard to come by now in swimming because there's so many of us and so few programs. It's kind of sad. So if you're swimming for a scholarship, you're going to really work hard and listen closely to your coaches. I got my kids into the program. I was a parent on the team for 10 or 12 years, and I was on the board for 9 of those years. One of the reasons I tell people swimming is such a great sport. One of the first years I was here as a parent, my kids were probably 11 and 9, the 2 that swam, and we went to the Cascade banquet, and when they announced the seniors that were graduating that year, there was roughly 8 of them, and I should sometime write down all the schools that they went to, but they announced the schools that they were going to, and it was that year, it was Harvard, Oxford, Scripps, Stanford, Minnesota, which was kind of a weak one, I mean, besides Stanford being a but it was just impressive to hear these schools that these kids were going to, and I know their schedule. When they're seniors, you swim 4 hours a day, and you do dry land for an hour a day, and you go to school for whatever time you go to school for, and then they have 5 hours of homework every night. And to be able to do all that and accomplish what these kids accomplish, it's pretty remarkable. And I think that's what we all like about swimming, is that we feel like we're a part of teaching the kids those responsibilities and those valuable life lessons. So, onward and upward. Let's go to... I skipped some very important things. I told you this was going to be non-sequitur, so bear with me. I did not introduce, we're lucky enough at this pool to have a couple of board members that are here regularly. One is Drew Worley. Go ahead and wave, Drew. If you ever have a question that you think a coach can't answer or a pool parent can't answer, which I'll introduce next, talk to Drew, or Robin Lash is also here quite often, usually with the intro group and group 3. Their kids swim there. They've both been on the board for too long, a long time, and know the club inside and out, and they can answer a lot of questions that I can't answer sometimes. So if you have questions for them, they're available to you. We also have 2 pool parents this year. This is Heather and Kelly. I'm really good with kids' names. Parents, you're usually just Murray's mom. I apologize for that. I have 175 kids I have to remember. I can't add 350 parents to that list. So, there are pool parents. They're in charge of being available for you. A lot of people getting into swimming for the first time are nervous about signing up for meets and don't know what to do and need help on what to pack for the meet. I do a lot of that stuff. I send out information with how to prepare for a meet, what to eat the night before a meet, how to be well rested the night before a meet, everything like that. But sometimes it's good to talk to another parent and these are our pool parents. They're going to also put together some fun stuff for us, I think, this year, maybe an event or two that we have some fun with. So if you want to talk about things like that, volunteer hours, they're great people to help you, lead you through that stuff. Robin told me I needed to make sure to make a plug for officials. Cascade is one of the largest clubs in the country, let alone our area. And so when we go to a meet, it's really nice. We see a lot of officials that are volunteering their time to be on deck and help run these meets. Then we have to have officials to run the meets. We actually had a meet recently last year where we almost didn't get to do the meet, even though the kids were all there, the parents were all there. We were at the pool, but we didn't have the right number of officials. Fortunately, a couple showed up and we made it. But we're always looking for more. If you want to get a front row seat at every meet, you can learn how to be a stroke and turn judge. You can learn how to be an AO, which stands for something important, and or you can train all the way up to where you're a starter or a meet referee. We need people to do that. We have a few here, don't we? There's one right there. Anybody else? Raise your hand if you're an official. One.
Only one?
Not as impressive.
Well, here, I'll plug it. The reality is you're going to be at the meet anyway. You might as well stand on the front deck. You might as well stand on the deck to see it. So,
Robin, who I talked about as a board member, she's also an official. And in fact, a few of the people who aren't here tonight are at an officials training right now, and that's why they're not here. So that's why we only have one. Where are you? Why aren't you there?
It's administrative official training. Okay. I don't want to do that yet.
This one's for the kids and the parents. We have some rules around the pool that need to be followed. Like the rule number 1. Can anyone recite rule number 1? Kids? Children? No? Anybody?
No
Fox
running?
knows it.
No.
No? Yeah.
No running.
Or
Horseplay.
horseplay. That's the big one we have problems with. There's all kinds of horseplay on the deck, and that's fun, but we have to be careful and safe. So don't run around the deck. Here comes Mike. The main thing, though, is to be respectful of the people around you. And I'm not just talking about the other swimmers on our pool decks and on our team, but we happen to operate in a neighborhood it's a little unusual for most of the public pools. You're out in school or business area. We're in a neighborhood. Our neighbors tolerate us. Try not to make them not tolerate us anymore. They don't like people speeding through the neighborhood. They're very against that. And I understand if you're late for work, I know how hard you want. I know how much you want to get here to be on time.